9:14 is the time right now. You may know our next guest for his very unique perspective on the world of sports. But as our students get ready to return to school with a lot of uncertainty because of everything that's going on, HBCU Week is providing virtual opportunities for black students all across the United States. So, without further ado, HBCU graduate, ambassador, and host of ESPN, Stephen A. Smith joins me now.
Hey.
Good morning to you, Stephen A. Smith. Winston-Salem State Rams. What's going on?
How you doing? How you doing? Thank you
great.
for having me.
Well, I appreciate you making time for us. I know you're a busy man. So let's start off talking about HBCU Week, first of all, because this is an opportunity for a lot of students to get in front of a lot of different colleges, a lot of different HBCUs, maybe some Winston-Salems or maybe some Jackson States of the world. Tell me about that.
Well, first of all, incredible gratitude to Ashley Christian along with Mayor Persicki in Delaware, the job that they've done and, just putting this out there in terms of HBCU Week. It was their creation, not mine. But a couple of years ago, I came on as an HBCU ambassador. Last year, nearly, 4,000 people registered and what have you. Over $4 million in scholarships we're giving out this year. That number in terms of pre-registration reached over 6,000. We've generated in excess of $10.4 million in scholarships for students to go to HBCUs over the last couple of years. So it's something that's near and dear to my heart. Things are going well and what have you. Could be better though. Could be better from the standpoint that obviously because of the coronavirus pandemic, folks were not able to have ACT and SAT scores to send in because all of that stuff was put on hold. So as a result, you have certain institutions like a Bowie State, for example, that had 273 students pre-registered last year, and this year that number was 0. Why? Because it was compromised because of the pandemic, and somehow, some way, the education system has to do a better job of making sure that SAT scores and ACT scores and tests and things of that nature are still in go, because if that happens, then obviously people would meet the qualifications to pre-register and ultimately gather themselves a scholarship. So we are doing well. We're moving forward. This is something that's going to continue to grow. Make no mistake about it. But we've got to pay attention to what's going on right here. Over 30 schools, over 30 HBCU schools participated. So we're very, very happy about that. And again, we're moving in a very positive direction. And things are going great, really great. It's just that I think it could be greater.
All right, you're absolutely right. All right, so we're going to run out of time here, so I'm going to run through these as quickly as possible, okay? All right, we're going to talk a little bit of sports. And since we're on the topic of HBCUs, I'm a Jackson State guy. Prime Time is the coach at Jackson State. You're a Winston-Salem State guy. You're a Ram. I'm a Tiger. Deion's a Tiger. What does Deion Sanders going to Jackson State mean, not just for Jackson State, but for HBCUs?
Well, what you're talking about is one of the greatest football players who've ever lived, a Hall of Famer, unquestionably the greatest cornerback that ever played the game of football, and he is now an HBCU coach. So when he walks into your room to recruit you, into your home to recruit you, obviously you're expecting things to go well. Plus, he's going to bring an elevated profile to Jackson State, and as a result, HBCUs entirely. I think it's an incredible thing, and I'm a personal friend of his, and I know how passionate he is about coaching. So he's not the only one that benefits. Jackson State clearly benefits, but more importantly, all of the HBCUs benefit just by having his presence associated with them.
All right, hopefully he can get us some more Walter Paytons, Lem Barneys, Robert Bazilles, and Jackie Slaters to come out, and some more Wisdom Martins as well.
There you go, you know those names.
All right, so look, let's pivot here and talk politics, because we're in political season right now. In the past, sports was sports and politics was politics. One of your former colleagues, Jemele Hill, got into a lot of trouble because she said some political things on ESPN when she worked there. Nowadays, though, it looks like it's completely changed, where it's okay for commentators and sports people to talk about politics all the time now. Your take on what's going on with that and why this is okay now and it wasn't okay back then?
Well, it's not that it wasn't okay back then. It's just that you needed a sports angle to address it. And if you were going to address it, it's appropriate to address it at the place you work as opposed to on Twitter. That's just a generic perspective that I have. But what I would tell you is that sports obviously intertwines with politics. You have LeBron James with his More Than a Vote movement and some of the things that he has taken. You have numerous players that have taken political stances, and we cover those players. We don't just cover their play on a court or field of of play, but we also cover them off the field or court of play. And if they take these positions, we're going to cover those stories. Colin Kaepernick is another example. And so when you look at those kind of things transpiring, the fact is everything is meshed together. Everything is intertwining. It's unavoidable. And it would be foolish to act like it is something that we can avoid, because our job is to ingratiate ourselves with the viewing and listening audience. And if this is what they're passionate about and it's on their mind and there's any kind of connection to the world of sports, then we have an obligation to address it. I think that's something that ESPN, under the leadership of Jimmy Pitaro, obviously understands. And that's why he sat up there and said, hey, you guys got to do what you got to do. All ESPN asks is that we make sure that somehow, some way it's related to sports. And we're not instigating political conversation as if we're political aficionados, because we are not. There are people out there that are specialists in that field. That is not our specialty. Doesn't mean we're not qualified to talk about certain subjects, but we also have to feed our viewers and our listeners. When they come to ESPN, they expect sports to be at the forefront of our mind. And I don't have any problem with the president mandating that we live up to that.
All right. Before we go, we're out of time, but I got to get your take on this, because this is what you are an expert in. The Lakers. I saw you talking about the Lakers last night.
It's over.
It's over.
It's over.
Okay. Okay. It's over. Will Miami win a game?
They're not. They might win a game, but they're not. The Lakers are not losing this series. It would be a miracle as far as I'm concerned. First of all, because they're not the better team. LeBron and AD and the Lakers are. But secondly, and more importantly, with the plethora of injuries that Miami sustained last night, I don't see how they can hold up. Bam Adebayo shoulder injury, Gordon Dragic, plantar fascia, Jimmy Butler, ankle. Everywhere you turn, bodies are just falling right now. I think that they've gone as far as they can go this season. They've had a valiant run, but it's over.
All right. Fair enough. The one and only Stephen A. Smith. I appreciate your time so much this morning.
I'm doing my podcast.
We'll get to all that later. Stephen's got to go. He's got work to do. All right, go ahead, Winston-Salem State Ram, Jackson State Tiger over here. All right, take care, sir.
Appreciate it.
All right, see you at NABJ whenever the next time we have it.
All right.
Bye.